Oh, the beatdown, the beatdown. What's going on, everybody? Thanks again for sticking with us through those highlights. Of course, it is Mateo San Diego. You can find me on X at Mateo San Diego. Of course, us at Sons of Monty. You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. Bean! How are you doing, Fiend? Is it still thumbs down today on a Monday?
It is thumbs down Monday. Yes.
Thank you for joining me. A busy day for a Monday. Got a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah,
Football,
definitely.
basketball, all that good stuff. We're going to turn the page on hoops. Mike, did you really have a football take? I know you're more of a hoops guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to school with all these guys who play ball, Bill Hammett, Bill Trickey, Will Demps, and stuff like that. So I've been around it for a while, but I don't pay attention to it much as basketball just because I love the basketball. But this game, so you blow out Stony Brook, which you should. You get taken to the woodshed by Washington State, which is kind of I think everybody was kind of shocked by that, to be honest, from what I've kind of heard, like what we were talking about. You got a bye week, and then you have Cal coming into San Diego, right? This is a big deal. This is a big deal, dude. You have a week to figure it out because you come in the gate the week, play really well. Second week, not play really well. You have a week to figure it out. You got a team at home. This is your opportunity. You like I said, this is a big deal because if you win this game, okay, then we're off. You don't win this game, not going to be good. Like they need to figure something out here quick, dude. Like this is getting into panic mode. I know it's the second game, third game of the season, but you can't lose a team like Washington State like that in the second game after Lucky Sutton is just running all over you and then he stops running. I never understood that. You know what I mean?
We're gonna dissect it.
Anyway, that's my take.
Mike panicking? What? Mike never panics.
Theatrical. No, but yeah. Thanks for having me on. Sorry.
Give me back my bandwidth.
I forgot to make mac and cheese. So. All right, love you guys. Later. Go Aztecs.
All right, Mike. Thank you, bro.
Later.
Bye, Mike.
Always a nice little drop in when Mike is on the pod. You never know what you're gonna get, right? Like Mike is like a
box of chocolates, right?
On the pod. You never know what you're gonna get.
Absolutely.
Where's my dinner, fool? Love it. Love it. Oh, thank you, T-Mac, also for your Superman. Got to give you your Mario. Came in late, but SDSU got out-coached. I love my Aztecs, and it is painful to see them get whooped like that. We're going to get into all the football that you guys can take. Thank you guys for joining us and sticking around through a little bit of hoops talk, of course. Can't ignore it. Busy day in hoops action today, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Might have to clip that out and post that as its own standalone because, Aztecs hoop, it's a religion. It's a religion. Fiend, let's get into the best of week 2. I think we deserve to have a little levity before we take this deep dive. Let's get into the best of week 2, guys. Let's go. Now this dude recorded. What is that? What is that? Kids don't even know what that is. Is that a Nintendo? Is that a Nintendo? Anyways, you got to see the game winner. South Florida against Florida. Game winner. Nico.
My brother-in-law would be throwing up in his mouth right now. He's a UCF
Dramatica, fan. Bro. Is he a Gator?
No. He's a UCF alum. They hate USF. Big rivalry there.
Oh, that's great.
Calls them the Cows.
They're making that victory over Boise look even more impressive, and Boise's looking even better. Boise looking better with that win. That upset.
I mean, you got to say that USF's probably in the driver's seat right now for the college football playoff. I would guess. I mean, if they win out, they have the wins to, show the committee that they are the G5 team.
We ready to dive in this thing? You feeling ready?
Let's do it. Let's get it over with.
All right. Well, thank you guys for sticking around. As we know, the Aztecs were taken down 36-13 in Pullman, Washington State. And boy, we got to eat a lot of crow, man. We got to eat a lot of crow. We were having fun this week leading up to it. Of course, after Stony Brook, feeling really good about the offense, the defense, all the way around. It was a very exciting victory for us to see. And you know what? I came into this week against Washington State. We talked about it. They're a brand new team, pretty much new staff, new players. A lot of South Dakota State players coming there. And it was like that Homer Simpson meme where South Dakota just disappears into the fence, the ivy fence, and comes back out as a Washington State Cougar. The Aztecs scored first, 7-0. Denegal finds Jacob Bostic in the end zone. It was a terrific play, and he had all day to make that thing happen. So that was like the best sign, the best start to the game. I mean, it was a second drive, but you're thinking, okay, man, this is great through the air. But then it was all Cougs after that, all Cougs. I mean, and to give a little perspective in this loss, Fiend, neither team. You can go through the stats. We can do that if we want. Neither team was really converting third down conversions. It wasn't a real dominating victory until the second half. I think where the source of the frustration comes in is a few different things, but it really happened at the end of that first half. Of course, neither team was efficient offensively. Neither team was executing. But I think the point of contention is the play calling, the decision making. These are things that are not necessarily player driven. This is leadership. This is coaching. So, we can get into some sound bites. Coach Lewis, we put out our article, every single thing that he said in his post game, whether it was the interview officially or the post game show on 760. And we didn't add any kind of filter or any commentary to it. It was just him in his own words, and I think he really owned up to it. I know some people don't want to hear the coach speak, but some people appreciate the honesty and saying, hey, I got to coach better. We didn't execute. If you guys heard his press conference today, we can get into some of that. But overall, my initial thoughts was it was just a disappointment. It's back to reality in a sense. We knew this Washington State game was going to give us a truer representation of where this team is. And between Stony Brook and Washington State, you got to say it's somewhere in the middle between there. I don't know how good that is, though, because we don't know how good Washington State is. Fiend, what are your initial thoughts, man?
My initial thought, if I had to sum it up in a word, is failure. And failure in 3 different areas, and you mentioned 2 of them. So the decision making and the play calling were awful, and then the execution, just the overall execution by the team, and a lot of that falls on the players, whether that was on the defensive end or on the offensive end. They just did not play a very good game. They looked so much different from Stony Brook, which you would expect with a step up in competition. But going up against a team that was, you mentioned it, mostly FCS players, it wasn't like they had this tremendous advantage physically, speed, and these, that they just were dominant in every single area, like you would expect it, like an Ohio State or a Penn State or, some top tier SEC team, right? This was a very beatable team. And it's just, it's so frustrating when you've got a game plan. You know what Idaho did last week. You saw the stats. You saw how they ran all over them. And we start the game handing the ball off to Lucky Sutton. They can't stop them. Every single run's like 5 yards, 7 yards. And then, boom, we just go away from it. We just start throwing the ball. We're throwing on third down, long third down passes instead of just picking up the first down, moving the chains. Some of that's on Denegal, and we'll get probably more into that. But as far as the decision making, but it just from the play calling and the game plan, it just felt like we were trying to ram a square peg into a round hole, and you heard the presser from the coach post game from Washington State. He said, "I wouldn't do that. I make adjustments." And that's where I really feel like the game was won. If we had just stuck with the running game, committed to it, I think we had a very good shot at winning this game. And it wouldn't have been the lopsided outcome that it was.
Much I can disagree with you on that, Fiend. Last week we tried to highlight 3 of our running backs, right? Each one a local guy. Not that that makes any difference as far as who should get the touches and all that stuff, but it was a cool thing to highlight. And knowing the success that Idaho had on the ground, and the lack of success that Washington State had on the ground, you're coming in thinking, man, this could be a real strength of the team. I know it's something that we talked about leading up to the season where, hey, you don't have to depend on the passing game so much with this offensive line or with this offense. You want to ground and pound. It reminded us of those days where you just lean on those big guys, massive offensive linemen. An offensive lineman scheme seems to be a lot more, I don't want to say easy, right? Because none of this is easy. Playing football is hard. Winning is hard, as coach would tell you. But the scheme in pass protection, to me, it seems a lot more intricate than a running game scheme. Running game, hey, you're going downhill. Let's get attack mode, not in protection mode. And you're not trying to read defenders blitzing and all that stuff so much. So I would think really get out there, dedicate yourself to running the ball, at least, getting lucky, at least 20 touches, you know what I mean, out of the backfield, and then mix it in with different guys, Christian Washington, of course. But didn't really see that. You didn't get that dedication. And, I think it all harkens back. And, boy, listening to the coach, I mean, he's really frustrated in the press conference today, and understandably so. I mean, he's got to be upset at circumstances, but also kicking himself in certain ways where under those 2 minutes and to end that first half, I mean, that was the game changer. It really told me a lot that, he's trying to show confidence, and he said it. He's trying to show confidence in his team, in his quarterback, letting them know that he believes in them. Nothing wrong with that. That's the right thing to say, right? But under 2 minutes and you're backed up inside your 10, to me, that
time
tells
and place.
The time and place. To me, that tells me pound the rock, see if you get some success outside of that danger zone, right? Get out of that danger zone where you're backed up in your own end zone. And then if you got a chance to start slinging it, you got a kicker down there who's nails. Let's pass it around. But just the lack of dedication to the run game, I think that's what really did for me.
Yeah, and I mean, credit. You got to credit Jaden with that pass to Bostic. I mean, that was a beautiful pass that he just dropped. Like, we had several drops in this game. The receivers, by and large, did not have a great game. With the drops and then not being able to block on those stack formation screens, quick screens. And they're getting tackled 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. We could not hold blocks. And so that just, when you're having those issues, it's like, to me at halftime, it was just a sign of like, okay, let's go back to what is working. And what was working was Lucky Sutton running the ball. And Lucky did not have one negative rushing yard in this game, like one rushing carry, I should say. So, like, even there was one play where 4 of the 5 linemen whiffed on their blocks, right? Lucky still fell forward for 2 or 3 yards. He's a north-south runner, right? He was gashing him 5, 7 yards, I mean, and the other thing was cool to see early on was then when they started to blitz and, blitz Lucky, then you'd have a guy like the Boogeyman who just loves hitting people, which is great. Like, it opens up holes for Lucky. But then he slips a block and he's wide open in the middle of the field and gets like an 18-yard pass. And this is his only touch of the game, right? We didn't use our tight ends. No backs really caught the ball out of the backfield. Just an overall, just poor, bland, like, I just kept saying, why are we calling this? And look, I'm not coach, and I should have more faith in the coaches and the coaching staff, but it was just questionable. It was questionable pretty much all game after like the first couple of possessions, and it was just like it's like they're trying to force something that's just not working and not there.
Share a little bit of today's presser, and listen to coach's words, straight from his mouth, and not, we're not trying to misrepresent anything. We're commentators, right? Of course, but we're going to give basically our commentary based off of what is actually said, what's factual, and what they have to say about it. So let me cue this right up. I know that this clip I'm leading into is Coach talking about Jaden Denegal and some of his struggles. I think Hacksaw might have asked him a question about it, and it was something me and James, K5 James, something we were talking about. We were watching the game together at a little watch party, and it's hard to bash sometimes because, hey, you either make a play or you don't. Was it a good call or wasn't it? It just depends if the guys execute, right? But there were plenty of other areas where it was just a bad call or just not dedicating to Lucky Sutton in the run game. There's plenty of other areas.
Yeah.
But let me play this clip. It's Coach in the presser today, and hopefully you guys can all hear it at home.
Is it the quickness of defense? Is it progression?
No, guys. No, I mean, it's his decision-making process is sound. The timing and location and time on task with the receivers so we can connect on balls and have a higher completion percentage is something that we need to continue to refine. I mean, and then again, just situational mastery, right? Like there's an opportunity there on the 4th and 3 where he knows from in the moment, as soon as he made the decision, like he climbs in the pocket, he's up and out, he's got room to run. And so, hey, like that's an opportunity to run, get the first down, we get a new set of downs, and then we extend the drive, right? So he'll learn from all those opportunities as we go, and no one has spent more time in this building from a player standpoint than him, and he's willing to commit the time that's needed to grow his craft, and he's got a great leader in Coach Johnson helping him, and I would say I'm involved in that process as well.
On that particular 4th down play, what do you think he processed there? I mean, it looks so obvious that you can get that first down, but he decides to throw. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably being a little bit more greedy than needy in that situation, right? There's also a receiver that's open, and he missed a throw, right? Like he makes the throw, everyone's going, wow, what a great throw, right? And so it's like, again, cost-benefit analysis of it all, like just, hey, have a better understanding. Again, it's 4th and 3, right? The most important thing there is to get a new set of downs, but again, that's the lesson to learn, right? That's
I cut it right there. Fiend, we could get into this a little bit because I like what he was saying as far as Denegal. Hey, he makes that pass on that 4th down play, and we're all saying, hey, it's a great pass. What a great play call. What a great decision. But in that moment, it's really hard to argue. You can argue for both sides, but in that moment, I think it really comes down to it. And Coach said it. It's the focus. It's the team focus, and especially at that quarterback spot, it's the focus, knowing that we've got to drive this ball down the field. I've got all this green ahead of me. I got to focus and get that first down first. On a 4th down play, man, that's tough. That's such a tough call.
Yeah, and I wonder with Jaden Denegal running the ball, if him getting hurt last week, like coming out of the game, if that's still affecting him, because I'll tell you what, when he would tuck the ball and he would run, it seemed like he was hesitant to get upfield and take a hit, right, and get positive yardage. He was getting strung out more laterally toward the sideline, and I just wonder if that has something to do with the psyche and the mindset of him not wanting to take another hit. And we saw that last year with Danny O'Neal, where he just didn't have the wheels with that knee injury, and that really took away that part of the game, right? And so, I mean, look at his yardage, look at his rushing. He didn't rush for many yards, and he did keep the ball quite a bit, and the defense was forcing him to, because they were hammering down on Lucky, and that's the read that you make in a read option. But in order for that to be successful, it has to be a triple threat with the running back, the quarterback as a runner, and then the option to pass. And I just felt like he wasn't getting up north-south, where he could have just, gone 4 or 5 yards down the field, taking a hit, but had gotten positive yards. Maybe that's another example. The other thing I will say about that is, hey, if we're going to look at the bright side of this, right? If the goal is to win a conference championship, right? You want to win these games out of conference, but you also want your quarterback to learn from his mistakes, right? And if him learning from these mistakes helps him moving forward into the conference season, and we start stacking wins during conference, and we have a shot at the end to be in the conference race, then taking the lumps early like this is all worth it.
That's right on point. I know the chat is really agreeing with what you're saying as far as that running point. And to that last point, I think you're exactly right. I think Coach Lewis detailed that as far as what's needed here is more reps, more reps, more reps, more reps. He's coaching to where he wants Jaden Daniel to be and this offense to be maybe not so much where they're at right now, but he's trying to get them up to that level, that proficiency in the passing game to where it's boom, boom, boom. You're learning from your mistakes. You're making the right decisions the next time you're presented with that opportunity. And he really hammered that point home in the press conference that we've got to get those reps. That's basically what it is. You got to remember, and James was telling me, I wish I could have got James here to talk with us, but he was telling me, you got to remember, is Jaden Daniel's second start
right.
at the collegiate level, for crying out loud. Now, okay, I doesn't sit well with me 100%, right? Because the game is still the game, but you do have to kind of temper yourself. Okay, yes, in this offense with these players, the timing, all that good stuff. It's only second game.
Yeah, and I may have just answered my why as far as the play calling, and that he's just willing for him to take the lumps now and, to be better off in the future. And I just hope he grows and learns from it and has a better game against Cal and just keeps getting better and better as we go and get ready for Colorado State, which will be the first game in conference play.
I want to read what he chimed in on. He says, Wazzu coached to the ability of their quarterback, and boy, he showed up big in this game. I mean, he looked like he was just slicing us apart. Of course, we can get into the defense next because they're not without blemish at all. We'll get into that, but he says, Coach Lewis needs to learn that. Don't call a play that his team lacks confidence to execute. I'm not sure if they lack the confidence to execute. It's just the proficiency just may not be there. You may know what you want to do. You're not executing it there. It's not really a confidence thing. I don't think that safety, and Coach was very, very, very adamant on making sure that the interviewers knew that safety was on him. It wasn't on the lineman. It wasn't on Christian Jones. And James we were watching the game. He said that's a coaching mistake there. The offensive line was shifting to their right while the dude just came around, and it was too late for our left tackle to get him, Jones to get him. So it was one of those situations where you got to call a different protection as a coach, as a play caller. You got to change that. You got to recognize that, get that into your signal caller, and make it happen. But it didn't.
Or roll Denigal out of the pocket so he has the option to throw it away without it being intentional grounding and a safety anyway. So in that situation, I think you probably want to roll him out of the pocket to the right.
Talk about the defense, Fiend, because like I said, they're not without blemish. A lot of missed tackles left and right. That was really frustrating to see because you knew this Washington State team, they had put 13 points up on Idaho, right? So that's going to be the one that you judge who you're playing coming into, and it just really looked like we had baby oil out there, Diddy oil out there. What was going on here, man? The guys rolling around, spinning around. The angles Coach alluded to, you got to take better angles, all that good stuff. Of course, Trey White, he's a beast out there, and that was a big question mark to see. Okay, how is this team gonna fare when he's double teamed, when he's taken out of the game plan? Of course, that no huddle action where he was on the sideline for a spell. They drove right down. Those type of tactics, that strategy is tricky when you don't have Trey
They
Trey
played
walked out.
like, hey, you got to give Washington State credit. I mean, they played a great game plan. They did their best to try to neutralize Trey, not only with keeping him on the sideline, but that one where they had the deep, it was like post route, and it near the end zone. I think it might have been their first touchdown where they got it down there. It was a brilliant strategy of kind of faking like they were going to run, like the line faked like they were going to run, and then they stood up like it was pass protection. And Trey was moving to the right in anticipation for run defense, and then he recognized it late that it was actually a pass. Well, at that point, he's not set in his stance to be able to rush the quarterback, and the quarterback had all day to throw that pass and got it off. It was a very nice route and a great play call and great way to, take away the advantage of your opponent. I mean, you got to give them credit for that.
Just to stymie them, just to freeze them. Oh my goodness. I think I was a little concerned on the back end when it came to the safety play.
Yeah.
I know there were a couple touchdown passes that got behind our safeties, and you just can't have that with such a veteran leadership group. The whole team's coming back. 11 starters on the defense, especially in that secondary, those corners and safeties. Hats off to Chris Johnson. We'll get into that play, good Lord. But the safety play has got to be better. You got to be a safety.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you on that. Those guys were not on the same page, and it left several busted coverages that led to big plays for Washington State that ultimately, put this game away. And so, yeah, we got to do much better job of that. And that's something you would not expect from guys who've been playing now, there's probably their 14th game together. You would expect them to be on the page. And a lot of these guys were starters last year. So there really is no excuse for it. I mean, they got to clean that up.
They're on the short passes as well. Wazzu they had that short out game. It was just like that little jab, right? It's just that little jab just to back you up and get you thinking different. Of course, Ross Masuli went down on the offensive line, came back in, thank God. Tano Latuli on the defense, I think him going out really affected the team down the stretch, right? Of course, him and Owen Chambliss both they were flying all over the place. I don't think either one of them would say they had their best game at all, but 10 and 8 tackles apiece. Chris Johnson with 7. There was a lot of plays. Washington State ran a lot of plays. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They controlled the play clock, the time of possession. That's for sure. So they were out there a lot of minutes.
And this gets back to, when you got a young quarterback who can't move the chains, why are you putting your defense out on the field? Like it's like this is the same thing that happened last year towards the end of the season. We couldn't get first downs. The defense was on the field way too long. They started off okay and then broke by the second half. It was just like a repeat of last year. And so I think at some point in this season, if we're not seeing improvement in the offense, I think there's going to have to be a serious change in the strategy to be more run centric and dominate time of possession and do more power running. When you got a guy named the Boogeyman who's out there just looking to hit people, and you got a strong running back like Lucky Sutton in that massive offensive line, we saw them run some T formation near the goal line. Why don't they run that on their own 30-yard line? Power run and just smash them. I mean, that's what I want to see with this team. Just at least just throw in a little bit, Doesn't have to be all game, but come on.
Offense couldn't get it going. Jaden Denigal, 15 of 30 for 50% on his passing. Of course, that one touchdown pass to start. We've already talked about the rushing game and the lack of dedication to that. But let's get into probably it shouldn't have been the play of the game, but to me, it's college football, guys. Anything can happen. You could be losing the whole game, but you're still within range. Anything can happen. Fiend, Washington State lined up for a field goal. Now, the Aztecs did eventually score again in that second half. I was joking with Andy and James, go for two after we scored, right? I said it sarcastically. I was like, go for two every single time from here on out, right? Sarcastically, kind of a little desperation joke, whatever. And the next thing I know, we're going for two. And the guys were like, what are we doing? Why are we going for two? Now, we miss it, of course. And now you got to go for two eventually if you score again twice. Like, you have no choice. So it's just another decision that was just left you scratching your head. You don't know why. And if you're going to go for two, put your offense out there. Put your real offense out there. Put your quarterback, your running backs, your receivers out there. Don't do a little gimmicky play. Anyway, that was a head scratcher. But Washington State lines up for a field goal. Chris Johnson reaches across, blocks it, full extension. Bryce Phillips runs it all the way down for a score. The one turnover that we needed that we've yet to get because it gets called back for a neutral zone infraction that just wasn't a neutral zone infraction. I've got the photo, the screenshot on the thumbnail. Twice they called it, but the first time, of course, took points off the board. What do you say about that? Like, these refs, there's no method to go back and review that. It's just a judgment call of you on the line. But even though the evidence shows otherwise, or it's not even conclusive that he's in the neutral zone, I mean, give me a break. Anything could have happened. Anything could have happened. That was the play to me that could have been just as equally effective as that safety.
Sure, definitely. I mean, it could have at least gotten us maybe back in the game, and given us some hope towards the end of the game. I think the refs did screw us a bunch of times.
It's a one-possession game after that. That was for a touchdown, So, hey, get the ball back again. You can go down and score a touchdown, tie the sucker up. Unbelievable. I think I freeze Fiend with my venom over here. But yeah, I mean, that was a play that was just changed the whole ending. Could have had a chance there. We could have been on the best of week 2 in our lineup of highlights with just an immaculate comeback. But when refs interject themselves into the game as much as they did at the end of that, you can't win.
Yeah, and that there was one play where it was like 4th down where they went for it and they scored their first touchdown of the game, and obvious pick play goes uncalled. So it's like the breaks did not fall our way as far as the reffing, but that didn't, I don't think, ultimately determine the game, but it was just more demoralization to what was happening on the field.
Injury. And no, I do not, Paul. I do not think that Lewis addressed that in the press conference. I don't even think it was asked about it. Maybe I missed that, but I don't think anybody even mentioned it. It was just like, hey, it wasn't going to affect the outcome, so let's just not even bother to talk about it. It's just a frustrating way to end that game. But we got to eat it. We talked a lot of trash, Fiend. We made a lot of videos, making fun of the Cougs and, showing them getting beat up by Tano and Trey. And we had a lot of fun. Hey, it's a rivalry, guys.
We're going
to play these guys for the foreseeable future, and they handled it very well. Wazzu fans, credit to you. If any of you guys watch this, credit to you guys. Good sports. I don't think that they were feeling very confident coming into this game, so that's probably why there wasn't no clapback at all until the game was over, and you got to respect that.
Yeah, you want clapback, you'll get it from Cal fans, but not the Wazzu fans.
What was the woke mafia? The woke mob? Is that what they call it?
The woke mob.
Oh, Fiend, what else are we going to get into? Guys, we got a week off, a bye week, and we got Cal coming up, the Beach Bash at Snapdragon Stadium. That is on the 20th of September. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know how it's going to be a Beach Bash. But we're gonna be ready for it. So you guys make sure you stop by the tailgate. We'll have some posts coming up soon because we got a couple special things for the beach bash coming up. And,
I just hope the playing surface isn't a sandbox, because that's a really bad promotion to run if the playing surface is like anything like it.
I got on good authority. I get weekly checkups on the Snapdragon turf, and it was looking good in that opener. So I'll make sure I get an update on that. Yeah. A little bit of the comments. Savid, okay. He says, we have 3 legit running backs. Why are we quarterback sneaking 2 plays in a row? Well, the quarterback is about 6'5". You know, he's a long, rangy kid, strong runner. I don't have a problem letting Jaden Denigal or Bert Emanuel, get in there. Bert Emanuel's not far behind him and definitely more physical. I don't have a problem with them doing quarterback sneaks in the appropriate time and situation. I think that touchdown score that Jaden had, that was a good time to do it because all the attention was on Lucky, and they knew they were going to get that in there. So I don't have a problem with that. I just think the issue is really just showing more touches, more dedication to the run game. Lucky Sutton pulling off 5 yards of carry. You got to feed him. Oh, T-Mac, I agree. We cannot allow these games to be dictated by the refs. Can't depend on that at any point in time. So Bob says all that work that Rocky Long put in to build up this program, it is so damn frustrating. We're going to see Rocky Long and Donnell Pumphrey. It's been 10 years since the first Mountain West Championship of those back-to-back years, 2015, 2016. I can't believe it, man. 10 years.
I was there.
10 years.
Yeah, I was there versus Air Force. Christian Chapman, he was the redshirt freshman, right?
Max went down.
Mm-hmm.
The Kentucky transfer. And, man, did a heck of a job as a redshirt freshman. And I see it in the chat, people want an identity on offense. If it's got to go back to that ground and pound and just playing a little bit more conservatively until you get to that proficient point where you can sling it. I think the offense is catered to sling it. I think it is. So, I don't have any shortage of confidence that the game plan, or at least the style of play, can work, but you got to feed the talented guys that you got and ride them to a victory, right? Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, we'll be putting out an article, and it will be a power ranking of the Mountain West. Where do these teams stack up now that we've got 2 weeks, some 3 weeks down? And let me know what you guys think of my ranking, and where do I put the Aztecs in the Mountain West at this point? Oh, man, it's going to hurt. Fiend, anything else we need to touch up on football? We got a bye week. It's going to be a little minute, I think, until we record again about football, unless something happens or we get an update and you guys want to talk about some things. But, I'm still excited for the season. I'm still motivated to see this team through. That there's more talent than what was displayed Saturday against the Cougars. But the next opportunity is the next one. It's a crucial one. Coach knows it. We know it. The players, I hope they know it. But for San Diego as a whole, you got to do something. You got to do something to get this fan base energized again. Will a win over Cal do it? I'm not so sure. I think that consistency needs to be shown throughout the season. But beating Cal, that's going to be a tough challenge because they look really good, and they've got a freshman quarterback.
Yeah, they look better than Washington State, I'll be honest, from what I saw. Now, we didn't get a chance. I don't think they were off this week. We'd get a chance to see them play. We will, I think, this next weekend. But they look really good. Yeah, that true freshman quarterback is the real deal. And so they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat. And they got a great coach in Justin Wilcox. And so we have a tall task in front of us. They handed it to us last year up in Berkeley. And it was a fun trip, but that was definitely not the highlight, was getting, our butt spanked by them. So We need to come out. It'd be great if we could get a win. My biggest concern is that this team just loses, games and loses the interest of Aztec fans who are just waiting to pivot to basketball. And I don't want to see that. I want to stay on football. I'm excited about football. This was a bump in the road here. Yes, we didn't win. It didn't turn out the way we had hoped it would, and we are disappointed that we are seeing some of the same things happen again a year later, right? That we thought could be fixed, but there's still time. They can still turn this thing around. And I would like, hopefully people will continue to support this team and get out there to snap.
Well, we'll get into Cal. We'll break down what they've done so far, probably next week. Have a special guest next week as well. Cal's got Minnesota, the Golden Gophers, this weekend. They just took down, I want to say, Texas Southern 35-3 this past Saturday. So they're rolling. They're rolling. We'll see what they do against Minnesota. All right, guys. I want to thank you for joining the stream. Fiend is sputtering to the end, but it's okay. He held it down. Thank you to Mike Tortolot for joining us, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button and share with other Aztec Nation friends that you may know. We're going to be with you guys all season long. We ain't going anywhere, right into basketball season and all that crazy fun. But this is another season that we are dedicated to, and we ain't going anywhere. Hey, we're there. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. We'll get you going next time. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Remember, sonsofmontezuma.com. Save 15% off for first-time buyers using the promo code MONTY. We got some new styles, whether you want to support or just kind of wear them sarcastically. It's all good. We appreciate your support. It's how we stay functional and creating all this content. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night. Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.